April 1945. Northern Germany. The air smells of coal smoke and damp earth. Snowmelt drips from the barbed wire in slow, patient drops. Beyond the wire, a column of American tanks crawls down the road like iron animals. Olive drab hulls streaked with mud from the Harz foothills. Oberaufseherin Marta Vogel stands rigid inside the perimeter of Stalag 11A, her gray wool coat buttoned tight at the throat. She is 31 years old, tall, disciplined, raised to believe in order above all things. On her sleeve, the eagle insignia is still clean. Too clean for this late in the war. Germany was ready for war. Ready with tanks, with doctrine, with lists, but not for this. The war has reached the camps. Behind her, nearly 200 German women communications clerks, Red Cross auxiliaries, Luftwaffe signal operators huddle in a loose formation. They were evacuated west as the Soviets closed in. Now they are trapped in a prison camp once meant for captured Allied soldiers. Prisoners of war. The word feels impossible. A distant engine backfires. One of the younger girls, Liesel, barely 19, flinches. Marta does not. Stand straight, Marta says quietly. Her voice carries, but it does not tremble. Beyond the outer fence, American infantry fan out from half-tracks. M1 Garens at the ready, helmets low, faces grim and unreadable. They move with caution, not fury. They have seen camps before. Real camps. A white sheet tied to a broomstick flaps from the guard tower. The German commandant shot himself before dawn. Marta had heard the pistol crack echo across the yard. She did not investigate. She already knew what it meant. An American sergeant steps forward through the open gate. His uniform is dusty, sleeves rolled. A patch reads 84th Infantry Division, rail splitters. He scans the women, then the empty towers. Who's in charge here? He calls out. Silence stretches. Marta feels every pair of eyes turn toward her. For a moment, she considers stepping back into the line. Let someone else carry this. Let someone else answer for a collapsing Reich. Instead, she steps forward. I am, she says in careful English. The sergeant studies her face. Not cruel, not soft. You armed? No. He nods once. Behind him, another G lowers his rifle slightly, surprised to find women in field gray skirts instead of SS men. From the far barracks, a thin American voice calls out in disbelief. Jesus, they're Germans. Marta does not look at the prisoners inside. She knows what they have endured. She knows what uniform she wears. A gust of wind rattles the wire. Somewhere in the distance, artillery thunders closer than yesterday. The sergeant gestures toward the women. Your post now, he says. All of you. The words hang in the cold air. Germany prepared for invasion, for blitzkrieg, for encirclement, but not for its daughters to stand behind barbed wire. Marta keeps her back straight. Behind her, one of the girls begins to cry. The gate closes behind them with a hollow metallic clang. Not locked, just closed. For years, Marta Vogel watched that same sound signal control. Now it signals captivity. The American sergeant steps deeper into the compound, boots sinking into wet gravel. His men spread out with quiet efficiency, checking towers, barracks, and the commandant's office. No shouting, no celebration, just procedure. War reduced to paperwork. What unit? The sergeant asks her. Luftwaffenfein. Marta replies. Air signal auxiliary. She keeps her chin level. We were reassigned from Hanover. He studies her again, as if measuring truth against exhaustion. War's about finished, he says. You know that, right? She does know. The radio traffic in March had been desperate. Fragmented commands. Static where Berlin should have been. Rumors of Americans at the Elbe. Soviets in the east. Germany was collapsing inward, but hearing it from him makes it final. From the barracks, several American POWs emerge slowly. Gaunt faces, shaved heads, uniforms hanging loose on skeletal frames. Some wear Red Cross armbands fashioned from scraps of cloth. They stare at the women with something complicated anger, disbelief, confusion. Marta meets their eyes only once. It is enough. A captain arrives in a jeep, mud splattered across the windshield. His insignia is sharp despite the grime. He removes his helmet, revealing sweat-darkened hair. Situation? He asks the sergeant. Camp secure. German female auxiliaries. No resistance. The captain looks at Marta, then at the rows of women behind her. How many? 193, she answers. The number sounds clinical, manageable. The captain exhales slowly. They'll be separated from the male POWs. Medical check first, then processing. Processing. The word strikes harder than the surrender. The Americans begin moving with structure, establishing guard posts, replacing German sentries with their own men. A G climbs the tower and removes the Reich flag. It flutters down into the mud without ceremony. No one salutes. Liesel steps closer to Marta. Her voice is barely a whisper. Will they send us east? No, Marta says firmly. She does not know that. The Americans go west. Another woman murmurs, the Russians are worse. Fear spreads faster than artillery fire. An American medic approaches, red cross patch bright against olive drab. He gestures politely. Ma'am, we need to check everyone for weapons and injuries. Ma'am, the word unsettles her more than POW. As the women form a line, Marta notices something unexpected in the Americans' behavior. No jeering, no revenge, just caution. One of the freed American prisoners limps forward, stopping a few paces from Marta. His eyes are hollow but steady. You run this place? He asks quietly. No. A long pause. Good, he says. He turns away. Marta watches him go, unsure whether she feels relief or shame. Above them, a light aircraft drone faintly. The search begins at noon. The women stand into straight lines across the yard, boots sinking into wet soil. American MPs move methodically down the rows. They check pockets, collars, hems, small knives, a few hidden pistols, identity papers folded like prayers. Marta hands over her soldbook without hesitation. The MP flips through it. You speak English well. I studied before the war, she replies. He nods, then hands it back. You won't need this anymore. She feels the absence immediately when he takes it. Again and places it in a canvas sack. Around her, the women shift, uncomfortably as they are patted down by female medics and WWII personnel, brought forward from the rear. The Americans have prepared for many things, but even they did not expect this many. German women in uniform behind wire. One of the younger auxiliaries resists when an MP removes a small silver locket from her neck. Bit please, the girl whispers. The MP hesitates, then examines it. Inside is a faded photograph of a Luftwaffe pilot. He closes it gently and hands it back. Personal, he mutters, marking something on his clipboard. There is no cruelty in the motion, only procedure. Marta studies the Americans carefully. Their discipline unsettles her more than anger would have. She was taught they were reckless, undisciplined, soft. They are none of those things. A truck rumbles into the compound, canvas covered, stenciled, white stars on the side. The captain signals toward it. You'll be transported to a temporary holding area near cell. Separate from male pose. Cell. That means the front has passed them. The Americans control the roads. From the barracks, several liberated American prisoners watch in silence. One of them, a lieutenant by his faded insignia, steps forward again. His posture is rigid despite his thin frame. You know what Dachau looks like? He asks, voice controlled. Marta feels the question like a physical blow. No, she answers honestly. He studies her, searching for something, guilt perhaps, or indifference. They'll show you, he says quietly. An American sergeant places a firm hand on the lieutenant's shoulder and guides him back. No escalation, no shouting. The women are ordered toward the truck in groups of 20. Boots scrape against gravel. Some stumble. One begins to sob openly now, her composure finally breaking. Liesel grips Marta's sleeve. Will they send us to America? I don't know. It is the first time Marta allows uncertainty into her voice. As they approach the truck, Marta notices a small detail. The American guards keep their rifles angled downward. Safety engaged, alert, but restrained. This is not the chaos she expected. This is occupation. She climbs into the truck bed. The canvas smells of gasoline and damp wool. The engine vibrates beneath the wooden benches. Through the open flap, she sees the camp shrinking behind them. The guard tower, the wire, the empty yard, the place that once confined others. The convoy moves slowly along a narrow country road lined with skeletal trees. Spring should be coming to Lower Saxony. Instead, the fields are scarred with shell craters and abandoned equipment. A burned-out Opel truck smolders in a ditch, its tires melted into black rings. Inside the canvas-covered bed, the air grows thick with silence. Marta sits upright, hands folded in her lap to stop them from shaking. Across from her, Liesel stares at the floorboards, lips moving in quiet prayer. The truck jolts over a pothole. Someone gasps. From outside comes the distant crack of rifle fire. The engine does not slow. An American corporal riding on the tailgate glances back at the women. He is young, maybe 22. His jaw tightens as another burst of gunfire echoes from somewhere beyond the trees. Rear security engaging stragglers. He calls forward to the driver. Stragglers. German soldiers still fighting. Marta's stomach tightens. Somewhere out there, men in field gray uniforms are firing at Americans who now guard her. The irony is unbearable. The truck slows as they approach a crossroads. An American jeep blocks the intersection. It's .30 caliber machine gun mounted and ready. A handwritten sign reads, "Sell to 8 kilometers." The corporal shifts his rifle. "Stay seated," he warns in clipped German. The women obey instantly. Suddenly, a sharp crack splits the air, not distant, close. The corporal ducks instinctively. A bullet slams into the wooden side panel of the truck, splintering it inches from Marta's shoulder. Screams erupt inside the canvas. "Contact right," someone shouts outside. Rifles answer in controlled bursts. The steady thud of a Browning machine gun joins in, heavy and decisive. Marta presses her back against the bench, heart hammering. She cannot see the enemy, only shadows, moving between trees through gaps in the canvas. More shots. Dirt sprays against the truck's wheels. An American soldier falls near the jeep, clutching his leg. Another drags him behind cover without hesitation. The firefight lasts less than a minute. Then silence. The corporal climbs halfway into the truck bed, face pale but steady. "You're fine," he says, scanning the women for injuries. "Fine." A splinter of wood is lodged in Marta's sleeve. She pulls it free and lets it fall to the floor. From outside, voices in German cry out, angry, desperate. A small group of Wehrmacht soldiers, young and unshaven, are being disarmed near the tree line. One of them sees the truck, sees the women inside. "Verräter," he shouts. "Traitors." The word cuts deeper than the bullet. Marta meets his gaze only briefly before an American MP pushes him forward at rifle point. The convoy starts moving again. No speeches, no explanations, just forward motion. As they pass the captured Germans, Marta notices something chilling in their eyes, not hatred for the Americans, but disbelief at her. Germany had prepared its sons for sacrifice. It had never imagined its daughters would. Rain begins just before they reach Celle. A cold, steady drizzle that turns the road into a ribbon of mud. The convoy slows as it enters the outskirts of the town. Half-timbered houses stand shattered. Windows blown out, roofs sagging under shell damage. Civilians watch from doorways, thin women in headscarves, old men with hollow cheeks. No one waves. The truck pulls into a fenced rail yard on the western edge of town. The tracks are twisted in places from recent bombing. A temporary holding compound has been established using captured German materials, barbed wire strung between wooden posts, guard towers assembled from timber beams, improvised but firm. "Unload," the corporal orders. The women climb down carefully. Mud clings to their boots. Marta lands lightly, scanning the perimeter. American sentries already stand posted, M1 rifles at port arms. Beyond the wire, rows of canvas tents sag under the rain. A sign nailed to a post reads in chalk, "PW enclosure female." It feels unreal. They are herded inside the enclosure in groups. Names are taken again. Ranks recorded. Occupations noted. An American clerk types steadily beneath a tarp, his typewriter keys clicking with mechanical indifference. Marta steps forward when her turn comes. Name: Oberaufseherin Marta Vogel. Age: 31. Affiliation: Luftwaffe Signals Auxiliary. The clerk pauses, glances up. Party member. A single beat of silence. Yes. He writes it down without expression. Nearby, a medical tent processes the women for lice and illness. Blankets are issued American Army surplus, coarse but warm. Each woman receives a tin cup and a mess kit. Liesel clutches hers like something fragile. As evening falls, the rain intensifies. Water pools in shallow depressions inside the enclosure. The women huddle beneath the canvas of a large tent erected for them. The smell of damp wool and anxiety fills the air. Across the wire, American soldiers light cigarettes under ponchos. Their silhouettes glow faintly in the gloom. Marta stands near the edge of the tent, watching. A group of liberated American POWs passes outside the enclosure on their way to transport trucks. They move slowly, some supported by medics. One of them, the lieutenant from the camp, glances toward the women. His gaze lingers. No words this time, just a look that carries memory. Thunder rolls overhead. An American officer steps inside the enclosure accompanied by an interpreter. "You will be treated according to the Geneva Convention," the interpreter says clearly in German. "You will receive food and medical care. Cooperation is expected." Expected. Marta feels the shift in power settle fully into her bones. Liesel moves closer to her. She whispers. Marta does not answer immediately. She thinks of radio messages, of trains, of rumors dismissed as enemy propaganda. Outside, lightning flashes, illuminating the wire for a brief, stark second. For that instant, the women. Morning comes gray and cold. The rain has stopped, but the mud remains thick, clinging, unavoidable. Marta wakes before the others. Years of routine refuse to release her, even in captivity. A whistle blows outside the tent. Roll call. An American voice shouts. The women file out into the yard, boots sinking deep with each step. The enclosure smells of wet canvas and coal smoke drifting from the town beyond. A line forms automatically, habits of discipline stronger than fear. An American lieutenant stands with a clipboard. 2 MPs flank him, rifles slung but ready. Count off, the interpreter orders. One by one, the women speak their numbers in German. Marta listens carefully. 189. She feels the absence before the lieutenant does. Should be 193, he mutters. A search begins immediately. Tents inspected. Corners checked. The wire perimeter walked. 4 women are missing. Whispers ripple through the line. Escaped. Taken. Liesel's fingers curl tightly around Marta's sleeve. An MP jogs back toward the lieutenant. Breath visible in the cold air. Tracks near the northwest corner. They slipped under during the storm. Fence line sagged. Marta closes her eyes briefly. Foolish. The lieutenant exhales sharply. Get patrols out. Town perimeter first. If they're smart, they won't go far. If they're smart. Marta knows the terrain. She studied maps once for signal routing. Fields stretch for kilometers. Allied units control the main roads. The front lines shift unpredictably. For unarmed women in gray uniforms, the odds are merciless. The lieutenant turns toward the formation. If anyone else tries this, understand something, he says through the interpreter. We don't want to shoot prisoners, but we will. No theatrics, just fact. Hours pass. The women are ordered back into the enclosure, restricted from the fence. American patrols move through Cell's shattered streets. A jeep speeds out toward the countryside. Near midday, the first of the escapees is brought back. She stumbles between 2 MPs, shoes caked in mud, stockings torn. Her face is pale with exhaustion. I only wanted to go home, she whispers as they pass. No one answers her. The second and third are found near a barn 2 kilometers away, hiding among hay bales. Civilians had reported them. Fear has replaced loyalty in this town. The fourth is not found. By late afternoon, tension thickens like fog. Marta feels it pressing in on her ribs. The missing woman is named and colder, widowed, quiet. As dusk approaches, a distant rifle shot echoes from beyond the fields. Just one. The enclosure falls silent. An hour later, a jeep returns slowly through the gate. No sirens, no urgency. In the back lies a still shape beneath a wool blanket. Marta's jaw tightens, but she does not look away. The lieutenant removes his helmet as the vehicle stops. The burial takes place at first light. No ceremony, no music, just procedure. A shallow grave has been dug beyond the rail yard, near a line of shattered freight cars. The ground is heavy with moisture, dark and stubborn. 2 American engineers finish their work in silence. Marta and 10 others are permitted to stand at a distance under guard. The wool blanket is removed. Ang's face is pale, almost peaceful. A small dark wound marks the center of her chest. Clean, precise. Marta feels something inside her shift, not rage, not yet. Something colder. A realization that this war now moves according to rules she does not control. An American chaplain steps forward. He hesitates briefly, glancing at the interpreter. Would you like a German prayer? He asks quietly. Marta steps forward before fear can stop her. I will speak, she says. The MPs tense slightly, but the lieutenant nods once. Marta folds her hands. She does not pray for victory. She does not pray for Germany. She prays for mercy. The words are steady, controlled. The wind carries them across broken rail, tracks and twisted steel. When she finishes, there is no applause. Only the dull thud of earth striking wood as Ank is lowered and covered. Back inside the enclosure, silence lingers long after the women return to their tent. By midday, a new tension replaces grief. Rumors move faster than fact. The Americans have discovered another camp nearby. A real one, not a POW camp. Something worse. Liberated prisoners are being brought through. Cell. Survivors from Bergen-Belsen. Marta hears the name and feels a flicker of recognition. Logistics reports. Transport schedules. She had never asked questions. An American truck arrives. In the afternoon carrying skeletal figures wrapped in blankets. The smell reaches the enclosure before the sight does. Sickness, decay, starvation. The women press toward the edge of the wire despite warnings. Marta stands frozen. The figures being helped from the truck do not look like soldiers. They look like ghosts. One of them, a woman no older than Marta, collapses onto the muddy ground. An American medic kneels instantly, lifting her gently. The lieutenant from the original camp stands nearby, watching. He sees Marta at the fence. Their eyes lock. This time, there is no anger in his gaze. Only exhaustion. You didn't know. He calls quietly. The question hangs between them like smoke. Marta opens her mouth. Nothing comes. Behind her, one of the younger auxiliaries whispers, We only handled signals. The words sound thin, hollow. Marta steps back from the wire. Germany prepared for war with precision timelines, codes, formations, but it never prepared her to see the consequences delivered in human form. As night falls, the enclosure remains restless. No one sleeps easily. Beyond the tents, American floodlights sweep the perimeter. For the first time since surrender, Marta feels something stronger than fear. She feels doubt. And doubt is far more dangerous. 2 days later, the order comes, a work detail. The American lieutenant enters the enclosure with a folded paper in his hand. His voice is steady, but his eyes are harder now. 20 volunteers, the interpreter announces. Assistance required at Bergen-Belsen. Burial detail. The word lands heavily. Burial. No one moves at first. Marta feels every gaze shift toward her again. Leadership has become a silent expectation. She steps forward. I will go. Liesel grabs her wrist. Marta, no. Marta gently frees herself. We cannot hide behind wire. The lieutenant studies her for a long moment, then nods once. 19 more women step forward, some pale, some rigid with fear. An hour later, they are loaded into an American truck. This time there is no gunfire, no ambush. Only a road lined with silent trees and abandoned artillery pieces left in retreat. The smell reaches them kilometers before the camp appears. Sweet, rotting, unmistakable. Bergen-Belsen spreads across the heathland in rows of wooden huts and sagging tents. Smoke drifts from controlled burn pits. Bulldozers British this time, Royal Engineers idle near mass graves. The Americans escort the women toward a field on the camp's edge. Marta forces herself to look. Bodies lie in rows, some covered with thin blankets, many not. The British officer in charge removes his gloves slowly. His accent is clipped, controlled fury barely contained. These women were part of the German war machine. He asks the American lieutenant. Yes, sir. The British officer nods once. Then they will assist. Shovels are handed out. The ground is sandy. Easier to dig than the rail yard soil, but there are too many bodies. Too many. Marta kneels beside one young, emaciated, hair-shorn. The woman's eyes are open. For a moment, the world narrows to that gaze. Marta removes her own scarf and gently closes them. Beside her, one of the auxiliaries begins to sob uncontrollably. An American MP stiffens, unsure whether to comfort or command. Keep working, the British officer says flatly. Hours pass in brutal rhythm. Lift, carry, lower, cover. No speeches, no slogans, just earth. At one point, the lieutenant from Stalag Shia approaches Marta. He holds out a canteen. She hesitates, then accepts it. You could have refused, he says quietly. No, she replies. I could not. He studies her face, searching again for something. Guilt, responsibility, humanity. Thunder rolls in the distance, though the sky remains clear. By late afternoon, the first trench is filled. The bulldozer pushes soil forward in heavy waves. Marta stands back, hands blistered, uniform stained with dirt and something darker. Germany had prepared her to transmit orders, not to bury the cost of them. As the truck carries them back toward Cell, no one speaks. The silence is no longer fear. It is reckoning. The work continues the next morning. No one volunteers this time. The list is posted, names assigned. Marta's is there again. The truck ride back to Bergen-Belsen is quieter than before. Even the American guards speak in low tones. The sky is pale blue now, almost indifferent to the devastation below. When they arrive, the smell is worse. The British have organized the grounds with military precision areas marked, burial trenches measured, disinfectant spread across contaminated earth. Bulldozers grind forward under the supervision of Royal Engineers. Chaplains move among the living, murmuring prayers in languages that once filled Europe. Marta is handed gloves this time. She notices the small mercy. Near one of the huts, survivors sit wrapped in blankets, watched by medics. Some stare blankly. Others whisper in languages Marta cannot place. A child, skeletal and silent, grips a crust of bread like treasure. As Marta lifts another body with 2 other auxiliaries, she sees a faint tattoo on the forearm numbers. Industrial precision. She swallows hard. Midday, something changes. A group of British Army film and photographic unit cameramen enter the field. Heavy equipment on tripods. Lenses glinting in the sun. Documentation. The British officer speaks firmly. Everything recorded. The world must see. Marta freezes as one of the cameras turns toward the burial detail. Toward her, she feels exposed in a way captivity never achieved. Not as a prisoner, as a witness. The American lieutenant steps closer to her position. His voice is low. They're not filming you, he says. They're filming what happened. But we are here, she replies. Yes, he answers. You are. The distinction offers no comfort. Later, a survivor approaches the edge of the trench. She is thin but standing on her own. A striped camp uniform hangs from her frame. She looks directly at Marta. Not with rage, not with accusation, just with unbearable clarity. "Wear 'em," the woman asks softly. "Why?" Marta opens her mouth again. This time, words come. "I do not know." The answer feels both honest and insufficient. The survivor studies her for a long moment, then turns away without another word. That silence is heavier than any accusation. By late afternoon, the second trench is filled. The British officer removes his cap briefly as earth covers the last row. Marta's hands tremble despite the gloves. Germany prepared its citizens to obey without question. It did not prepare them to answer for the consequences. As they are loaded back into the truck, Marta glances one last time at the camera crews packing their equipment. The images will travel farther than any radio signal she ever transmitted, and they will not be erased. The truck drives toward Celle under a sky that looks painfully ordinary. For the first time, Marta understands that captivity may end, but what she has seen will not. May 1945. The guns fall silent. Word reaches the enclosure at Celle in fragments first through American radio chatter, then confirmed by an official announcement posted on the wire. Germany has surrendered. Unconditional. There is no cheer inside the female enclosure. No collapse either. Just a long, quiet exhale from nearly 200 women who no longer know what nation they belong to. Marta reads the notice twice. The Reich she served exists now only in past tense. That afternoon, the American lieutenant enters the yard without his helmet. He looks older than he did 3 weeks ago. "The war in Europe is over," the interpreter says. "You remain prisoners until further orders. Processing and repatriation will take time." Time. It has become the only certainty. Rations improve slightly. Mail forms are distributed. The Americans allow limited writing under supervision. Marta sits at a crude wooden table with the pencil worn down to its final inches. She stares at the blank page. What does one write after this? She begins carefully. "I am alive." The words feel almost undeserved. Days pass into weeks. The burial details cease as British units assume full control of Bergen-Belsen. Reports circulate through Allied ranks. Newspapers arrive in the American camp, pages filled with photographs. One afternoon, a Jew leaves a paper folded on a crate near the enclosure fence. Marta sees her reflection in the glossy equipment in gray. Uniforms digging graves under. Allied guard. Proof. She does not look away. Liesel stands beside her. "Will they punish us?" she asks quietly. "I do not know," Marta answers. The honesty no longer frightens her. By June, interrogations begin. Individual interviews inside a converted rail office. Questions about assignments, communications, transport orders, knowledge. An American captain studies Marta across a metal desk. "Did you know about Belsen?" he asks plainly. "I knew trains were rerouted," she replies. "I did not ask why." He watches her carefully. That's not the same as not knowing. She absorbs the weight of that distinction. "No," she says. "It is not." Weeks later, a transport list is posted. Several women, including Marta, are scheduled for transfer to a larger internment facility in the British zone for continued screening. Not freedom. Not yet. On the morning of departure, she stands once more at a truck tailgate. The same mud, the same canvas, different silence. The American lieutenant approaches one last time. "You did the work," he says. Marta nods. "It doesn't change what happened," he adds. "No," she replies. The truck engine starts. As Celle recedes behind her, Marta does not look back at the wire. Germany had prepared for war with certainty and obedience, but it had not prepared its daughters for accountability. The road ahead is uncertain: internment, investigation, perhaps release into a shattered homeland. For the first time, Marta understands that survival is not the end of the story.